Are we recording?
We are on. What's going on, Captain Matt? Welcome
What's
to
up,
episode
Shane?
11. Hey, we made it. Double digits. Technically, I guess
Hell
last
yeah.
double digits, right? But I don't know how many podcasts make it to episode 11.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was reading. I think it's like even episode 6 marks like a huge benchmark. Like few percent of podcasts that start make it this far, which is mind blowing. And I see from messages and listen times and downloads that hey, these guys are getting value out of this. That's super exciting, and we're gonna keep doing it as long as we keep providing value.
All right. Well, hey, if you guys out there get any value watching these, give us a thumbs up. Tell us to shut up. Tell us, hey, appreciate you guys. Just something in the comment section. Well, that would be great. We appreciate that. So,
Yeah.
Matt, last week, right, we left off and we were going over this document that we made. We made it a while back. 40 questions you should ask your lighting coach. So let's just say you guys are looking at hiring a lighting coach. This is the reason we made this, right? You're getting into lighting. You want to make sure you're hiring the right person. So we put this document together just so you would have some ammo to ask whoever it is that you're, wanting to be your mentor, right? I think it's questions that every expert should know, or at least be able to touch on. So let's continue with that. Matt, anything else you want to add to that here before I start pulling up the document and going through it?
No, I'll just reiterate, right? Like this is about anyone you're taking like real lighting advice from. We talked about the guys at the counter. We had a lot of pushback uh, on that from one gentleman that we had to kick out of the Illuminati Lounge group just because it's all negativity. We're not about all negativity. But yeah, even the guys and gals, guys kind of universal term, not gender based. If you're going to be taking real advice from them for your lighting job, I'm not talking about getting your product from them or anything like that, just advice on design and install, maintenance. Well, they should have a comprehensive knowledge, not just of the fixtures that they're selling. Like my thing is like, have you designed a job, installed that design that you did, and then been back to service it a year later? I mean, that's a very quick way to, supply house person or some guy on Facebook. If you haven't done those 3 things at a minimum, I don't think you should be giving advice besides maybe just trying to sell your fixtures.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a great point. So I was going at it as if you're hiring and paying someone to be a coach, but really, in all reality, lots of people take the salesperson from the manufacturer they get lights from as a coach or person to ask advice of, or Joe Random on Facebook because he comments all the time. He might not know squat. So here's some questions to see not only if you know, but if the person that is mentoring you knows.
Not only if you know, but do we even know? Dun, dun, dun.
Do we even know? I would say certainly I didn't know all these years ago. It's almost something you just kind of learn over time.
Yeah.
And if you don't know these, we'll ask someone who knows these, because you should know as a lighting person in the field. You, the listener, right now, you should know these answers. All right, so I think we left off somewhere around number 5 on that last episode. What are your qualifications, to give me advice? Why would I listen to you? I think that's a really good question. We probably dove into that maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. Do you remember, Matt?
I don't fully remember, to be honest. So I can't remember talking about it.
So I would say, that's a hard one, because anyone can answer that. Well, I've installed thousands of fixtures, which could be a true statement. We, just took away a couple jobs in our Glow Geeks Orange County location from another company who had quoted them and pretty much had the job almost locked in. And these were 100 fixture jobs. These were sizable jobs on really awesome properties. We came in and showed them like, hey, that this design that you guys are about to ink is really horrible. Now, that guy that was doing it, I would just say, well, he was, probably a reputable company. He had done several, 100+ fixture installs, but he was still far subpar from where, like the design skills that we brought to the table.
Yeah.
Just because you have a successful company doesn't necessarily mean, you're qualified. Well, they may be more qualified than you asking the question, but it doesn't mean they're the best coach for your fit. Certainly,
I was gonna say, yeah, for sure. It's kind of like I know you always hear that thing about a good football player doesn't mean they're a good coach, and I've seen it even with inside my own company where a great technician, I promote them into a field supervisor type role, and they just collapse and they suck at it. So you know, I, I guess we could debate, push back and forth like that of what makes you qualified because that person that I had put in that position was qualified. They could run circles around everybody for install and everything, and even design. But then once they were put in charge of something or trying to coach somebody or train new people, it was a fluster. So, yeah, qualifications. Yeah, I think you should have had designed, installed, documented, and returned for maintenance on some jobs. Um, and then do you have any other people that you're working with that can kind of attest to you? Do you surround, who do you surround yourself with? Is another good qualification, right? Because you can tell a lot of people a lot about a person from the circle that they keep.
absolutely. I'd say maybe just as long as they're 3 steps above you, well, they can at least teach you something. Maybe just use
Yeah.
these questions to really figure out where they're at. But certainly they
One,
can teach something.
yeah, one chapter ahead is Russell Brunson, founder of ClickFunnels, will tell you, right? As long as you're one chapter ahead, you can coach somebody, and I like that because you at least one chapter ahead. You figured out what they need to figure out, but you have to continue, obviously staying a chapter ahead of those people. But yeah, they need to have installed lights though. I think that's a safety thing. Unless they're a business coach, obviously, I think a business coach that's just coaching you on business end of itself, they don't need to be in your niche, right? Like a business is a business at the end of the day. A home service business is a home service business.
It's undertrue. This is a lighting coach, not a business coach questions.
Right.
That would be totally different. So number 6 here, what products do you use and why? And Matt, why would we even ask this question?
Well, yeah. So, the answer to this that I'm going to tell you look for is lifetime lighting systems. But that's not the real answer that you're trying to qualify the person for. It's the why, right? Why are you using the fixtures that you use? And I don't care what fixture it is. What is the reason that this lighting coach is telling you to use this, or the reason that they use it? Is it because of product support, design help, badass manufacturing, warranties, right? There should be a reason, and if the reason is price, yeah, that's an immediate for me a red flag because why does price why is that the number one motivator of the fixture you use? It's not a great look because we all know this, right? That usually you get what you pay for type of deal. Like if you're using a $25 fixture, you're going to get a $25 fixture. And so to expect it to operate, if that's your coach telling you to buy these cheap lights, I would run.
Agree. Yeah. Price can be a reason, just not the number one reason. Obviously, we all want to get a good deal and make more money. But, when
Right.
you're buying the cheapest, I mean, you're buying the cheapest. You should not be charging a customer, full market rate, and you're buying the super cheap product. So you want to stay away from things like why go to the supply house, the Home Depots, the site ones, maybe even Ewing, even though I think Ewing probably has some fixtures that we would say are pretty good. I don't shop from there, so I wouldn't really know. But they probably have a range of cheap stuff and
Sure.
medium stuff.
Yeah, I
So
would say that's a great point, right? If they don't actually have their top 3 manufacturers or brands that they work with, that's a red flag too, because if they're a lighting coach, they know how much maintenance is going to matter and inventory and all that. So they can't name the brands that they use. And most people use multiple brands, right? They have their core brand, their first line, second line, and third line, for unique fixtures and specialty stuff. So, um, yeah, I would just say that if they don't actually have the top 2 or 3 manufacturers that they recommend, like they probably are just buying whatever's available on the shelves.
Yep. I mean, for us, right? Well, if you asked us, well, like my answer would be predicated upon, how does it adhere to our 7 deadly sins? How does it block glare? Does it have a shroud? Does it have a hex louver? What is the adjustability on it? Is it easy? Is it easy to change from a stake to a wall mount? Because we commonly in the field
Yeah.
change our mind on, no, this needs to be a wall mount for this reason. Or, what, this really needs to be a stake, or we need to mount it on a tree. I can't put it in a stake because there's no mulch bed, along the tree. So like it needs to be flexible in the field. How long is the wire lead? Do they come with little 3-foot leads? Well, that's a pain in the butt. Do they come all boxed and packaged and I got to lamp it and grease it? And that takes me 15 minutes a fixture, which costs me money. What all of these things kind of come into mind when I'm looking for products, which is kind of why our favorite product is Lifetime Lighting Systems. Long before this podcast or Lifetime Lighting Systems was a sponsor,
Sure.
that's what we used because it answered all those questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great point.
All right.
Great answer. You're hired, Shane.
Numero siete. Do you teach how to core, bore, put lights in super tricky spots? And Matt, I'll like ask you that question, right? If I'm asking you, I think as a lighting designer, sometimes you can't always just go with the simple way. Like light has to be where light needs you to have it for the picture. So how do you go about answering that?
Well, what is the difference between a core and a bore? I guess that'd be my follow up. I can't say that I know what.
Well, I think bore is like boring out, like to hide wire. Core is
okay.
drilling in.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, I got it. Just make sure words matter. Make sure I understand the question here.
Rhyming words,
That's right. Yeah, I mean that super trick shit, as we call it, right, matters so much, and that's why I can go on to someone's job, and even if they just got it installed and show, like, look at what it should do, because of course I teach how to core, put lights up on houses, inside of trees, how to do badass wiring and all that, because these projects need it. It's not about trying to sell more fixtures, right? Like there's so many times I go into homes that have uplighting on the ground and they're 2 stories and they have cut back porch, dormers, and nothing's lit besides 8 uplights on the ground. So if I didn't teach how to do the trickier stuff, because at this point I don't think it's tricky to put a light on a house, right? So sometimes I forget that is part of the trick, because sometimes we're talking new guys or even guys that have been in it 5-10 years, and they'll even like, what do you mean put a light on the house? So a lot of times I take for granted that the trick stuff that we do and teach. But of course, and if you need to, in fact, you and I, Shane, were having a conversation yesterday about a project I'm working on designing and where we need light and how to do that, right? And it's not going to be fun, right? I'd much rather just walk over, slap a stake in the ground, be done, and take the money and go. But that wouldn't be right. And I could do that, and the client would probably be happy enough, but there'd be a dark spot. So, yeah, we're going to core the pavers or core into the beams to get the lights exactly where we want them. So absolutely, I would teach that. And yes, I do have pictures.
Yes, I would say if I don't really core or bore much, or I like to keep things simple. I mean, there may be a reason for that, but if you want to be like the baddest lighting designer in your area and produce art, you 100% have to know these things. I come across houses all the time where they have like a column, right? And instead of putting a light at the base of the column because it's on concrete, they do it like over here in the grass and like point it at a weird angle. And this is horrible. Like it's just a glare bomb right when you walk out. It's not lighting it up correctly. It's not It's not grazing it. It's not revealing texture. All these things that like you have to do if you want to be a lighting artist. You have to learn how to put lights in tricky spots.
Yeah.
No questions. You got to get good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the creative part, right? I like that. I'm not even a construction background. I'm not, super good with power tools. It's not just how I was raised. It's not natural to me, but learning it and figuring it out, there's a lot of fun in that.
Yeah, me either. I'm not a construction guy. I mean, I know a lot more about tools and stuff now. I think that's one of the benefits I have out there is that I don't know how it's going to be done, so I don't mind imagining it. Yeah, we're going to put a light there, and the clients will literally sometimes say like, "Well, how?" I'm like, "I don't know yet. But the light's got to go there, so we'll get it there." You know what I mean? So it's I don't have that hesitation of, yeah, of course we can do that. There's no doubt in my mind it can be done, even if I don't know how to do it right away.
That is hilarious. My team's like, "Hey, boss, how are we going to put a light here?" Like, I don't know. I imagine it. That's where the light needs to go. We need to figure it out because
Right.
that's what's going to look badass.
Right.
All right. So I think we got that one down. Ocho, right? With the amount of money I am spending, this is assuming you're hiring a coach and you're paying someone. Or let's just say it was even a manufacturer. With the amount of money I'm spending on lights, how long will it take for you to make me the baddest lighting mofo in my area? How long would it take you, Matt, to take someone from hero to zero? Or better question, how long did you take, because you were coached by the baddest mofo in the nation, how long did it take for you to feel confident that you were the best in upstate New York?
Yeah. So, well, the funny thing is, I thought I was badass lighting designer before I got in the plane to go meet Nate Mullen the first time. But the time I landed back in Albany, I felt and I had enough confidence that I knew I was going to be. I was almost like, yeah, I'm definitely the baddest here. Like I know it's in my mind. The design stuff is in my mind. And then I hit the ground running, right? And I was demoing every night. Literally, people wanted lights or not, didn't care. Demoing vacant homes, whatever the case, building my portfolio, testing out design theories and concepts and all that. So for me, within a month or two, I was selling $100,000 worth of landscape lighting, right? And then that first year, I did, multiple six figures in that first year within a few months. I have a short season here. So I was dedicated, right? I went like all in. I wasn't side hustling, wasn't washing houses or doing anything else. It was just, I'm doing lighting, I'm doing it. And I was confident enough within that first month or two being back that I knew I was the baddest mofo in my area for a lighting designer, hands down. What about you? How long did it take for you? Why?
This sounds like my verbiage. I must have typed up this question.
You definitely did.
I don't know how long ago we made this. So you went from thinking you were the baddest mofo to knowing you're the baddest mofo within 90 days.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do that transition, right? I leave New York to go to California. When I'm leaving, I'm like, I'm good. I know lighting design. I do lots of badass Christmas stuff. In California for maybe 2 hours, and then I realize I know nothing about anything when it comes to lighting design. And it's kind of like the boot camp, right? You get just torn apart, realizing that you don't know what you don't know, and you're like, holy shit, I don't know anything. Like you have to be honest with yourself, like, okay, I was wrong. And then so landing back in Albany, thought I was, a couple months, I knew I was.
So if you were to ask me that same question like 4 years ago when I met Nate, well, I thought I was pretty good. I did not think I was the baddest guy though. But after doing my first one or two big jobs after Nate, not a little 10 or 20 lighter, but like, 50 plus lights, and 100 lighter, I quickly felt, because he helped us every step of the way, figure out the install. We got really tricked right away. He helped with the design. Like after that, like I knew, all right, this is my passion. I'm like damn good at it. And I commonly have been telling people for 3-4 years, I am by far the best designer in San Antonio, but it's only because I'm coached by the best designer in the nation. And I use that as like part of my pitch. Now, if you were to ask one of my guys, right? So right now we have 6 Glow Geeks locations. Well, I would say some of this answer depends on how quick they move, right? You and I, we took immediate action. We got
Right.
jobs right away. We did a ton of demos and we learned fast. Well, I've got some guys that, it's taken them 6 months to really get really comfortable. The guy that we just gave the example of in Orange County, well, he just installed 300 lights and produced literally real works of art. I mean,
Yeah.
they are amazing and they knocked it out of the park. But I would only say that that's because he's a glow geeker, right? Like, we sent our lead installer to go help them and train them and knock these 300 fixtures out. We've spent hours and hours of time on design and install. So, like, I don't know, maybe that would be a little plug, for Glow Geeks or any franchise or licenseship. Like, you would move much faster, if you have that kind of brand and support behind you.
I would say, yeah, I wouldn't just say any, right? I think Glow Geeks provides a lot. Plus, you have Nate in your corner. You have me. Your guys can call and all that. So Glow Geeks definitely gets you there quicker. But I think that is the answer, right? So it depends is the honest answer, because so much of once if a coach has an example of a guy like Kevin out in Orange County, where was it a few months, maybe not even, where he went from, hey, you know what, I want to do landscape lighting, to selling 163 fixtures his first job, right? Like, but then
Yeah,
you take an
weird. Yeah.
yeah, right, and that was a few months, but he went all in and he devoted his time, right? He called you, he called me, he called Nate. He said, yeah, of course I'm using lifetime lighting. So I'm just going to listen to everything these guys say and I'm going to do it. Right. Like, I'm not going to even question it. Now, I don't mean like he doesn't question it in terms of how do you do that, but like, there's no pushback, right? He has that attitude of, you guys got to figure it out. Why am I going to try to change what works right now? Versus we have some other guys that, have done good training by us, and but they're puttering, maybe they're still out doing other things, and year and a half they're still just kind of puttering along in lighting. So I think the answer to that, as long as your coach can point to a few different examples of each side of the coin there, so much of it depends on the person, as with anything in life, right? Most people that sign up for even
Right.
coaching, or the Illuminati Lounge Club is a perfect example, right? Many people sign up, they're paying a monthly fee to be there, and they've never shown up. Right now, I don't take that personally. I just know from, I've had training from being a coach and life coach and all that, that it's less than 10% of the people that join anything are actually going to do anything with it. That's why some guys I know will bring up Glow Geeks, right? Like, me helping guys that are in the same areas of Glow Geek, or you're doing the Illuminati Lounge Club and someone else lives in that same area, they might overlap. And is that an issue, right? And instinctively, selfishly, if I'm that guy, right? If there's a Glow Geeks Albany, New York, and I know Shane's teaching me and this other, or I'm Albany Glow Geeks, and he's teaching somebody else, I'm gonna be, well, I don't want anyone else knowing this knowledge. It's my secret knowledge. And I get that, right? Because you want it all. But the real life story is a guy that's paying, thousand, couple thousand, whatever it is a month, is going to be and putting in time, work, and energy is totally different than the guy putting in $47 a month, right? So most people that put in that $47 a month are not going to do shit, even though they have the same knowledge. They're not going to act on it. Having the knowledge and acting on the knowledge are two totally separate things. In fact, if I can continue on with another story, I got
Sure, over the years of you coaching, right? 'Cause I don't know how many outdoor lighting businesses you've coached, but I'm sure you got lots of cool stories. Hit me with one.
Well, I got this one. So this one is actually reversed. The very first time I met Nate, I got a call the other day from a guy that was there with me that first time. So when we started, we had the same exact training, me and this guy, right? We went the same days with Nate hanging out. Since then, he has installed his mother's house, and that is it. And he called me up like, man, you're going crazy. you're teaching, you're training, you're educating, you're doing all these jobs. It's so badass. I'm gonna get serious about it. I'm thinking about really getting started. And I said to him, you realize we both started in the same day. Like we met Nate the same day together. We had that same first training. So there's a perfect example of someone who's like takes that. We both had the same knowledge. I went home and I acted on it as fast as I possibly could. It's been years and he's still waiting to act on it. It's incredible. Incredible
story. So got out of that,
Great guy, by the way. Love you, buddy.
get off your tail and make some action. And I'm sure that guy's not being lazy and just not taking action. Just life gets in the way. You get busy making money doing other things, and you just
he's got another business.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Easy answer here. I would like to see pictures of 20 kick-ass jobs that you've done. Every installer just has pictures that are easily accessible. I would say, yeah, if you don't have pictures of your jobs or even an installer, sometimes it's hard to go back at night and like grab those pictures. But, you at least get pictures during a demo process or on your really baller jobs, you get pictures. Would you say that it would be easy for you to show me 20 cool jobs that you've done?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it might take time to find the 20 separate ones as I'm scrolling and everything. I don't have like a pretty folder on my phone for badass lighting jobs because there's just so many of them. Why put them into a folder? But yeah, no, of course, right? Like when we do badass work, even to this day, right? I still love it when I go and I see it. And I'm like, even there was a smaller job that I went to take photos of the other day. And I don't know how many pictures. It's small, 20. Let's call it 20, maybe 25. And I'm like, I'm smiling when I'm seeing it. I'm like, this is badass. Like it came out of my mind. It came out of my mind and now it's on their house and it looks badass. They love it. I made money. This is badass. And so, yeah, I'm still enthralled every time I go back to see the work and take the pictures. So absolutely. How about you? Could you pull up 20 on your Android, or is that not a thing that Android does?
No, Android take pictures. I mean, yes. So my phone, we also put pictures in Drive. So it's like a collective folder, from my team. So I could easily show that,
Sure.
from access to my phone. I'm sure my phone, I've got little folders, where I put permanent lights, bistro lights, color changing lights, landscape lights. So yeah, I've got it fairly organized.
Oh, really? So I like have those folders and I do them when I'm making the folder, but I never like continue on as I continue to take new pictures. Are you saying that you actually maintain that as you go?
When I'm bored at a doctor's office or in the airport or something, I'll
Sitting on the toilet.
My camera feed. No, I'm never bored. I'm never that bored. It's just when you got like an hour of being bored. When you're on the flight, you don't want to pay for the internet and you're just sitting there doing nothing. Something like that is when I do it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so we'll talk about that real quick. So like on the iPhone, this is the weirdest thing. And I don't know, is it the same thing on the Androids? Is like you can put all the photos into folders, which is great, but it still keeps it like it doesn't actually move the thing. So like when I'm trying to go through, I don't know, is that picture already in landscape lighting or so that's a very frustrating thing on the iPhone. Is Samsung actually move so like you can just see pictures that aren't in that folder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow.
It does a really good job of being able to organize them. My office iPhone, I won't even know how to do it on that phone.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. I guess +1 for Android.
Plus one for Android, or just move into a Drive folder.
Well, yeah.
So what are the 5 biggest hurdles in landscape lighting? I think that's easy.
Dogs, mailmen. No.
It's probably an easy question for any business coach to really answer. But just to answer it, what are the 5 biggest hurdles that you see when you are coaching folks?
For landscape lighting, okay, I'm going to say the obvious ones last. So we have design, installation, and documentation. We teach it as DID, right? And then the ones that are across all industries and including lighting is leads and then sales and marketing. by far, those are the top 5 that I see. I've seen great guys that are great at sales that suck at design. And so they don't really move the needle as much as they could. Seen guys great at install that can't design, right? And then I've seen guys that are great at design, great at install, I can't get a damn lead. And then I've seen other guys who are great design, hustles, get leads. Oh my God, they can't close someone to save their life. So those are the top 5. Do you agree, or do you have anything push back on that or add to any of that?
No, that is exactly what I would say.
Wow, it's a good thing we're team, huh?
To the T. All right, so maybe we got time for maybe just a couple more. These ones are pretty quick, rapid fire. What is the NEC code on max voltage for landscape lighting?
This is a great one. We talked about this last week, how people still to this day are lying about Nate and Lifetime Lighting Systems, referencing this code, and that they say it's 15 volts, and they say, yeah, NEC, it's 15 volts, which I know to be inaccurate. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read the NEC code here. This is from Article 411, low voltage lighting. And it says, scope. This article covers lighting systems and their associated components operating at no more than 30 volts AC or 60 volts DC. So first off, that very first sentence tells us it's 30 volts AC, 60 volts DC. However, it does say right after that, where wet contact is likely to occur, the limits are 15 volts AC or 30 volts DC. So we just say, okay, everything's wet, right? And I guess we could even make an argument of, is it wet if it's in the ground? But every manufacturer, I think, goes by the ground is wet just for ease of use, right? So the answer is 15 volts AC, 30 volts DC. Most guys will not tell you that. They'll just tell you 15 volts and think that's the end all be all. They refuse to keep reading after they see AC listed.
Good answer. Yeah. And to clarify, well, all lifetime lighting fixtures are DC, which Correct. Is just better for electronics and lights. So what is NEC stand for?
I don't know. No, it's the National Electric Code.
Yep, it is the Bible for electricians. Everyone should know this. I wouldn't fault a coach if they didn't know what the max voltage for landscaping was.
I would.
Right. I mean, Nate knows because he's an electrical engineer. Other folks, have said, 15 volts, and it kind of made us look, and that's why we know. But I don't know if I would have just known that otherwise. It's good to know. I mean,
yeah, it's true. I guess. I guess I could argue. I mean, I didn't know either. I just went, at that point, I just thought everything was 12 volts, right? When I first started. But I mean, I think it's kind of our job to make sure what we're doing things right for our clients. Like, yeah, I mean, there's some permanent lighting systems that are 48 volts. Well, is that allowed? Right? Like, I think that there's some things that we should need to know, because I didn't know. I don't know. I don't think that's the right answer, because can I add an outlet to someone's house? I know how to do it, so that should be fine, right?
Right.
So I would say if you're coaching people, you should at least, that's a very general rule to know. They don't need to know the entire Article 411 and every subsection code, because that'd be crazy. There's probably not a man alive that does know it, or woman. But the very basic principle of how many volts can I use for landscape lighting, that's a basic question in my mind for a coach. I'm not talking about letting a guy in the field necessarily.
Well, I would definitely say if you're a coach and you answered it wrong, well, then that just kind of makes you more of an idiot. I'd rather you not answer it at all than answer it wrong, because that just means you just really don't know. And you can Google that answer. It's not like it's hard to find.
Right.
What is the NEC rule on distance from water? Pool.
Yeah. I mean, I know this. It's a very convoluted answer, but we'll just say 5 feet, as long as it's a pool rated transformer. There's a lot of subsections to that bad boy, though.
Right. What are things that light does to an object? So
Uh,
this is, I mean, we know, yeah, there's an acronym for it, that we know that we kind of teach. I don't know if everyone necessarily knows that same acronym because it's kind of something for lighting trade school specific, but we
rat,
are looking for an answer. Like you do have to know how light interacts with an object. What we teach?
rat. We remember it as rat, right? Reflects, absorbs, and transmit. A light only does three things: reflects, transform. Whoa, Matt. Reflects, absorbs, transmits. Now we're saying it funny, and that's why I'm getting stirred up in my words here because it's actually art. But in one of Nate's slides, he has it as a rat, and it sounds so much better to poke fun at Nate
No,
when
that
he's
was funny enough. I like acronyms, and he kept saying that. I was like, well, man, I need a way to remember that. So I was like, reflects, absorbs, transmits, and playing with the words. And I was like, rat. That's how I'm going to remember it. And then another guy in the room, he said, why don't you just do art? Way more sense than rat. But either way, both work.
Yes, I love
So
it.
yeah, reflects, right? If you have white soffits, a white wall, you're lighting up a white concrete, a white shiny object. Like, well, you need to know that light's going to reflect off that more, and you get more spillover light or incident lighting. That is something you absolutely need to know, and you need to know the opposite of that. If you're trying to light up a black asphalt driveway, if black homes are kind of a common thing these days, if you're trying to light up a black home, well, you need to know that the light's going to get absorbed up. It's not going to be the same as if you're lighting up a light colored home, and you need to incorporate stuff like that in your design.
Yeah, I saw that on one of my first jobs. Is it was a really dark blue home, and I was lighting it up, and then he had white trim and white pillars. Well, good Lord, were those pillars like Jesus Christ himself had come back compared to the rest of that house? Like that's when that one really sunk in. Like, wow, like that dark blue is not black, it's not brown, and there is a huge difference in what's happening with the same exact fixture on white versus dark blue. So super important to learn and let sink in because it's not just uh, it actually matters. It's not one of those things that we talk about that doesn't actually matter. Like that matters.
Yeah, you're lighting up a statue of a dark brown bear or a bald eagle or something, and it's all dark. I mean, it's just not going to work. And
Yeah.
vice versa. If it's white, I mean, you're just going to make it too shiny. So there's different ways. Do we cross the light? Do we backlight it? Do we do nothing? Do we write the surrounding area? Stuff you need to know.
Yeah.
So, what is your strategy? I'm going to go to number 15 because that's a nice even number to round off this call.
Okay.
What is your strategy on sales? Man, I mean, that could go for a while, but just quick 30-second answer. Strategy on sales.
We have a process that every client gets put through from the moment they first call or send an email to the moment we're cheersing at the end of a walkthrough. There is an experience and expectation that is set for the client and for us from every moment of that, from a call to a demo to a proposal to an install to the final walkthrough
To maintenance.
to maintenance.
Yeah. So there is a client, we call it the lighting experience, for the client. And there is a systematic approach that we do from lead to post install that we do. And you just need to know, I guess, if you're asking someone or you're paying someone or someone's a coach, that there needs to be some kind of client cycle that you go through. How does that look like? How do you ask for reviews? How do you market? Where do you take pictures? What do you do with that picture? How do you thank them? What do you do post install? What are the emails you send to them before you show up to a quote? How do you present the quote? Do you quote on site? Do you do a video? Do you have the husband and wife together? How do you pick out fixtures? When do you do the demo? Like all these things are part of the process in there.
Yeah.
Everyone good has a process. My process is different from your process, right? Like it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the same. It just has to be a process, that works and is somewhat documented and not super loosey goosey
and repeatable, right? Like someone else could come in and be able to just repeat that process. That's not, oh yeah, no, for this person, we only do jumping jacks on a Wednesday and then we do their demo, right? So
repeatable and teachable. Yep.
mm.
All right. Last one.
Oh boy.
How long have you been doing outdoor lighting full time? And in parentheses here, I put time does not really mean diddly, but you do want to get a good feel. Okay, that sounds like another question that I wrote.
It was absolutely. I think you're the only person is going to write diddly within the lighting trade school. Yeah, and that question again, to reiterate what you're saying is, it's not so much like, oh, they need to have been doing it for 30 years or they need to be doing it for 10 years, right? That it's not really the time that matters here. It's how they handle that question, right? Like, hey man, I've been doing lighting full time for 3 years. In that 3 years, I've been able to go from 0 to 7 figures in outdoor lighting, right? I would take that answer of, I've been doing lighting for 30 years, and last year we finally hit that 7-figure mark, right? So I think it's how they respond, how they handle that, or what they've done in that time frame, right? Was that kind of what that question was then when you wrote it?
Yeah, I think so. And I just kind of as an example, we were looking to acquire a lighting business kind of locally. And that business, great dude. The dude was sharp. I thought we got along great. I think the guy is just an amazing guy. I even think he was a good leader and could probably honestly be a good coach. But when it came to lighting and design and install and client experience and everything, like, well, we were so vastly different. And in 10 years, they had 3 locations, but I mean, their best year was 300,000. That's between all 3 locations. And the last year was a
300 combined.
300 combined. And the last year was a fraction of that. Now he kind of took his foot off the pedal and kind of put on autopilot. And I mean, there's reasons for that. But his best year was still a fraction, of what we do. We do more than that with one location in October and November each month. Just November alone, right? Probably just the later half of November. I mean, we almost do, what he did in a year, and that's not really fair because we do a lot of Christmas lights. But still, the thing is, well, I haven't been doing lighting for 10 or 15 years like he did. But right. I could say, well, our design skills and our processes are 2,000% better. So time doesn't mean diddly. He had a lot of experience, but I wouldn't want to have his results. So I think results matter, in that scenario. Time, I still think is important. Someone who's been doing it for 10 or 20 years certainly might know something more or has come across more situations potentially than I have that hasn't been in it that long.
But I would say too, like one of the key differences there is, that's why we push, like, whether it's joining the Illuminati Lounge Club, becoming a glow geek, coming to Captain Matt training, doing stuff with me, because it's the same thing that you and I did with Nate. And I know both you and I also do it in other areas of our life or our businesses, where we hire a coach, a mentor to take us from, to hit that gas, jump on that plane and go as fast as possible, because we're able to learn that knowledge from them in real time. So instead of having to take 10 years, it can speed that process up immensely down to a year. Now, to your thing, have we experienced as much, as putting much, stakes in the ground? No, but that doesn't mean that we're less qualified than someone that just knows how to put all, been putting lights in the ground for 10 years. So I think that's a huge thing too. When people are paying money for coaches and mentors and programs like that, like, yeah, they should fast track you. That's why you're paying for them. So someone that comes in hot and heavy, I know, I haven't been in it that long, and that's a lot of the pushback I get from guys on Facebook, right? They come in and are, you don't know nothing. I've been doing this 10 years. And They're just mad that the young gun was hungry and listened to his mentor's every word, and then I'm taking their lunch money. It's not because I have less time. They're upset that they took the foot off the gas. I didn't take their foot off the gas. They did that. So they got to take it out on somebody. Most people aren't going to be honest and be mad at themselves. So anyway, little side shot.
that is true, right? I'm only where I'm at because I've spent thousands of hours close to Nate learning design and install, and I have hired a personal coach. Probably for the last 15 years or so, we've always been in a mastermind or some form of business coach that's not even related to lighting.
Yeah.
So we can continue to pour gas on our fire, motivate. I want to go quick. I want to do it. I want the fast track, not the slow track.
Right. That's right. I want slow track on vacation. The mimosa in my hand. Other than that, I want fast track. I saw a shot glass said, work like a captain, party like a pirate. So maybe I'll put that on the back of the shirts for guys.
There you go. That's nice. All right, lighting world. Thanks for joining us here on another episode. Please, again, remember, comment. Just say, hey, that was good info. Or, hey, Matt, I don't like your hair.
Miss America over here.
Comments, we appreciate it. If you want to talk more about coaching, Glow Geeks, or Captain Matt Outdoor Lighting Coaching, well, comment, reach out to us. We've got a Facebook group, Captain Matt Outdoors. What is your email?
Yeah, Captain at CaptainMattOutdoors.com.
There you go. That was close. You're Shane at Glow Geeks, GLOgeeks.com. Reach out to us. We want to hear. We want to help. Let us know if we can help with the design, point you in a direction, ask us a question. That's what we do this for. We enjoy it. That's why we're doing a training. Matt, you got to get to your training because you got a training here in the next 48 hours. We're starting tomorrow and Friday.
I got guys coming in tonight for the demo. A couple hours.
And I'm doing the same here in 2 weeks in Dallas. Híjole. All right, buddy. I got to go to the field and call my guys.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
Better world.
Are you ending the recording or shall I?